So, are there natural or non-hormonal options for those of us in perimenopause and menopause? Those symptoms, right? So that's the question today. And before we jump in, I want to take a moment to spotlight an organization I really admire, Diabetes Sisters. So Diabetes Sisters is a non-profit dedicated to supporting women living with and at risk of diabetes of all types. They focus on education, peer support, advocacy, and real connection. Living with diabetes can feel isolating, and Diabetes Sisters reminds women they're not alone. They offer virtual meetups, webinars, and evidence-based resources that truly reflect women's lived experiences. If you or someone you love is navigating life with diabetes, visit diabetessisters.org to become a member. It's free to join and free to use. And it's a great place to find community and simply click the link right here in the show notes to visit the site and join. And just to open up this conversation, this is something that I reflect back on because I remember back in my perimenopausal days, I don't even think I was using the term back then. I just knew there was some shifts that were happening. I knew obviously I was aging and I was just trying to bring in some natural ways because I'm all about bringing in, the lifestyle, the food, the good habits in order to support health and blood sugar. So I myself was doing a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about today to begin with. So again, we're going to talk about one of the most common questions I hear from women I'm coaching, women in my group coaching circle, and this is a natural curiosity. Is there other things I can be doing? Do I need to jump on hormone replacement right away? So this is a great point, and I can't wait to dive in and share my experience with this and my advice. And again, everything that you learn here on the show is my opinion, and it comes from my own experience and the women that I work with. So please take whatever you hear today back to your doctor and to get their advice and decide on your next steps. So, are there natural or non-hormonal options? And the honest, simple answer is yes, there is. And these are the options. But the most important answer is it depends on what you're expecting them to do. I think our expectations are really important to clarify and to understand. So some women can't use hormone therapies. Some don't want to. Some are just looking for support without going straight to hormones right away. Again, all these reasons are valid. So timing, who you are as an individual, and your beliefs, and what you're comfortable with, all those things do matter. But what I don't want is for anyone to feel misled, like if they just find the right supplement or lifestyle tweak, everything will magically feel normal again. Whatever normal is, right? That's usually not how this works. So today we're going to talk about what can help, what tends to help some women, and where the limits are. An important reminder, like I mentioned, please refer to your doctor before making any changes or adding in the supplements I will be mentioning here today. So let's start by setting expectations, like I was stating just a moment ago, because this part matters more than any specific supplement. And just to understand too, non-hormonal and natural options often reduce symptoms. They can, make sleeping and maybe reduce the hot flashes and, all those things, but they don't usually eliminate them. I always say, because I'm an advocate of hormone replacement, nothing replaces what hormones naturally do and provide for our body. Some of what I'm going to mention, they can make hot flashes less intense, sleep more stable, mood swings less sharp, blood sugar a little steadier or more predictable, but they don't replace estrogen, especially later in menopause, because once we are depleted, it doesn't come back, okay? We don't magically get it back unless we are supplementing and bringing in menopausal hormone therapy. then those levels will never resume what they once were. And these options tend to work best when they're matched to the right stage. Again, knowing what hormonal stage you are in. Early perimenopause is a very different hormonal environment than postmenopause. The goal here isn't perfect. It's steadiness, feeling more like yourself again, even if things aren't the same as they were at 32. Because guess what? We just have to accept that if we're 42 or 52, chances are we won't feel like we did at 32. Things change, and they can definitely change for the better. But again, we're not going to replace, how we felt and how things were at age 32. So here are some non-hormonal prescription options. So these are things, again, speak to your healthcare provider or hormone specialist that you may be working with about what I'm about to share. Okay, there are prescription options that don't involve estrogen or progesterone at all. Certain SSRIs or SNRIs, these are commonly known as antidepressants, are commonly used to help with hot flashes, night sweats, and mood symptoms. These medications affect, and this is how they can kind of ease those symptoms that you may be feeling, these medications affect the nervous system and temperature regulation. There's the key, right? Not just mental health. So again, it's just kind of relaxing those different nervous systems in the body. There are also other medications used specifically for vasomotor symptoms, like, again, the hot flashes. So definitely something to talk to your practitioner about. And this isn't about labeling symptoms as in your head. It's about calming an overstimulated nervous system that's reacting to hormone shifts, which is a natural thing. For some women, these medications are incredibly helpful. For others, there are side effects or lack of benefit to make them a no-go, just something that's really not enough or really working for what they need. This is always a conversation to have with a provider who understands midlife physiology. Really, really important. So medication is one piece, but lifestyle support is often the foundation. I talk a lot about that here with my guests on the show. So whether you're on hormones, meds, or neither, lifestyle strategies that will actually move the needle. And I'm a big advocate of what I'm going to share here with these lifestyle, that these really need to be in place first anyway. So no matter what, I think these are a given. These are things that we really, really need to dial in the best we can as we're aging. Because whether you are on non-hormonal or hormonal replacement options, these things need to be dialed in because it's only going to help support your body, optimize whatever transition that you decide that you're going to go into or supplementation that you're going to jump into. Again, that foundation that I'm going to share is really where we all should begin. So sleep and stress regulation, prioritizing your sleep, understanding your circadian rhythm. Those are things that will always support us. Sleep disruption and stress amplify everything, right? Hot flashes feel worse. Anxiety feels louder. Blood sugar swings even more, okay? So when we don't sleep, we know that just kind of turns our next day into literally a hot mess with our choices, our energy, lack of energy, and our ability to really make good choices, again, that are going to support hormones, going to support blood sugar, and going to make you feel good. Bottom line. Even when hormones haven't changed yet, calming the nervous system can noticeably reduce symptoms. And this comes from good sleep and some calming exercises. Maybe it's yoga, it's deep breathing, it's meditation. And that might look like sleep, better sleep timing, gentler evenings, turning off the screens and lowering the lights and things like this. Less late night stimulation or stress tools that fit your life, not another thing to optimize. So just think about what you can bring in, what you can optimize with your current habits, and find ways to tweak that to better serve you. And you're lowering the stress for better night's sleep. And overall, that's going to help support any symptoms that you may be feeling with hormone changes. Next is strength training. Muscle loss accelerates in midlife. life. Unfortunately, it does if we're not taking steps to prevent and to hold on to that, that muscle and that strength, especially as estrogen declines. Strength training helps preserve muscle, supports insulin sensitivity, stabilizes metabolism. This is about function and long-term health, not aesthetics. It's good when we got a sleeveless top on and, to have pretty legs in the summertime and all of those wonderful things. That's a motivator. But the real motivator, I think, for me is just feeling empowered by, the choices we can make around our lifestyle and, the food we're eating and enjoying and things like that. And bottom line, we want to feel good, and our mood and our energy need to represent that, right? So more muscle often means fewer crashes. So fewer crashes with, again, obviously blood sugar, with our mood, with that nervous system that we talked about. It's going to help stabilize our cortisol. Cortisol is not bad. It's there to support and protect us. But it is trying to put everything in a nice little happy package, that everything is working together and not against one another. Muscle also improves our energy and just our overall resilience, okay? We feel empowered when we are strong and we are moving and functioning well. Now, nutrition, this is not about, again, perfection or restriction. Protein, as we know, helps preserve that muscle and stabilize the blood sugar and to keep those meals balanced. Fiber supports gut health and estrogen metabolism. The fats support the brain and the inflammation balance. So again, getting those omega-3s in. Consistency matters more than being clean or perfect in the kitchen. It's really, it's that 80-20 rule, bring in that good food, keep the pantry and the fridge stocked with the good stuff so that you can't help but pick and choose and cook and, around meals, around some really good ingredients. Skipping meals or under eating often worsens the symptoms. So again, consistency. Let's stay consistent. Now, the cooling and nervous system support. So this, again, we're talking about how we're feeling, the temperature control, some cooling strategies that can help reduce hot flashes and, the intensity of those. But so can slowing down, breathing, and reducing overstimulation. So it's really the outside things that are going to kind of show themselves or just kind of expose themselves when what's going on around us, our environment, our relationships, and all of that is not healthy. It's not happy, right? It's not feeling at peace. These are some things I can personally resonate with. I know when I can start my day in the Bible and with God and starting my day speaking to Him with gratitude and just asking for ways to help and serve and to be my best self that day and to feel good in the process. Now, many of these symptoms are worsened by the nervous system that's stuck in high alert. So that's another thing to be aware of. Again, today we're talking about some non-hormonal ways that we can support our hormones as they're shifting and dropping, right? So supporting regulation, supporting that nervous system and regulating this along with everything we're doing every day really, really does make a difference. Now let's talk about herbs and supplements. We just got through just kind of talking about all those lifestyle things that we can make choices around and things that we can do and help influence. But herbs and supplements, because this is where things get both helpful and a little confusing. And I think like anything, it's just like hormones that I often say, take it low and slow, right? It's what the hormone experts and the practitioners say, which I love that advice. Same thing goes for herbs and supplements. We don't want to bring in too much at once. We want to, again, paying attention to those symptoms. We want things to help ease symptoms, especially earlier in perimenopause when it seems to be at its highest peak when the ovaries are still producing hormones. So the ovaries, they're still they're ovulating. There's still some ovulation going on. There's still some estrogen and progesterone happening in the system. So there is some support happening. These supplements can do is help kind of nourish that and to bring what is happening in the system to its, best level or to help improve the way the body is being signaled. So Vitex is the first one, or otherwise known as chasteberry. So Vitex otherwise known as chasteberry, is often used to support progesterone signaling. Progesterone typically is the first hormone that tends to dip. Again, when we are missing ovulation, ovulation is erratic when we're in our later mid to late 40s, and obviously, progesterone is a big part of the ovaries and that hormone that it is producing. So if ovulation is not what it used to be, then our progesterone production will not be like it used to be again in our reproductive years. So it can help, again, Vitex, it can help with luteal phase symptoms like breast tenderness, irritability, sleep disruptions, and cycle-related blood sugar swings. Again, we do tend to get this in the we do tend to get this in the mid to late luteal phase. So that is the last, generally speaking, the last 10 to 14 days before your cycle begins again. And it works through, so this is Vitex, it works through the pituitary rather than adding hormone directly. So this makes it most appropriate for cycling women, not postmenopause. So this is an important distinction. And in some cases, if you are on hormone replacement, it is advised that Vitex is not brought in on top of that because there's just too much going on in the system and too many cooks in the kitchen, basically. So it's better to simplify that, and you can choose one or the other. But definitely check with a practitioner or somebody who is a specialist in herbs to see if this is a good mix to do at the same time. So that is Vitex alongside hormone therapy. Next, let's talk about black cohosh. Now, this may help reduce hot flashes and night sweats for some women. The key phrase there is some. So some responses, they vary widely. So again, this is something that you can bring in. It can be a supplement. It can be in tea form. There's ways to kind of bring in the black cohosh. Again, see how it is. See how it goes for you. Maca root, this is a Peruvian root that I actually got into using when I was in perimenopause. So this brings back some memories. It is sometimes used for energy, mood, and libido support. So again, it is an adaptogen type of herb that is really, it's going to take what's already happening or still happening within your hormonal system, and it's just going to help optimize what's happening. Whatever might be dropping and feeling depleted, it might just give it a little bit of a boost. And I hope I'm explaining that correctly. But the effects, again, are usually subtle and very individual. So there is no guarantee with any of this. And I think another point to remember is experiment. Maybe pick one of these herbs, bringing it in, finding an easy way to do that where it's something you can track and, track the symptoms, track how much you're taking, track your body's response to it, and see from there. And seeing if it's working, if it's worth the expense, if it's worth the time taking it, and if it's really, really paying off for you. You may be lucky. Well, this is something that's really going to be something that can fill in that gap as you are getting closer to menopause. So the next supplement is magnesium. Big supporter of magnesium. It supports sleep quality, stress regulation. It is the relaxing mineral, and muscle recovery, helps with muscle recovery and insulin sensitivity. It does help boost that. It's amazing too, because when you think about how all this is connected, when our sleep is better, our stress is managed, our muscles are recovering and firing, we naturally have better insulin sensitivity, right? You understand the connection there now. This is one of the most broadly helpful options, but even here, dose and form matter. Again, I would recommend low and slow, depending on the type of magnesium you use, how often. It's obviously best at night because, again, something you can take before bedtime. Usually about an hour before bed is when I take my magnesium every night. And again, we tend to be low as we're getting older anyway, so it's a great supplement to bring in. Finally, omega-3s. And they help reduce inflammation and support metabolic and cardiovascular health. They don't fix everything, but they support the system under strain during this hormonal transition. So before anyone runs out and buys all of these, we need to talk about the risks of the natural equals safe mindset. So here we go. Herbs and supplements are not one size fits all. Can interact with medications. They can affect blood sugar. I know Vitex is something that I have personally spoken to some women who are using it. And that's the purpose they started Vitex, because they heard of how it can help insulin move more efficiently in the system. So again, be aware of that and be cognizant of what can happen once you start on it. And they can be completely wrong for your hormonal stage. So again, I'm such a big believer in tracking. Maybe if you start a new month out and you're starting a new herb out, and this is when you start taking it, and this is what you're feeling, and this is what you're noticing, just be really mindful of what it is you're bringing in and how your body's responding. Natural doesn't automatically mean gentler or better. Sometimes it just means less predictable. Just be very aware of that. For instance, like I was mentioning, I've seen Vitex be incredibly helpful for someone and completely wrong for others. That's why I'm cautious about blanket recommendations. So again, you are an individual. Your response is going to be different. Your hormonal stage is continually to change. So that's another thing to be aware of. So what might work this month, 6 months from now, some shifts may happen and it's no longer working, or it might cause some other side effects. So again, being in tune with what it is you're taking and how you're feeling is so, so important, and to stay safe. The most sustainable approach isn't choosing what's natural or trendy. It's choosing what helps your body feel balanced, steady, supported, and resilient. So really, really important. I hope this has opened up some ideas, some thoughts, maybe confirmed some things. There are non-hormonal and natural options, like I mentioned. You don't have to suffer. You also don't have to force yourself into a path that doesn't fit. So whether you choose lifestyle support, I'm a big advocate of that. We are. That's always going to support your health and your longevity. Or you choose supplements, medication, hormone therapy, or a mix of some of it or all of it. The right approach is the one that supports your health and your life long term. That is the bottom line. And you're allowed to change that approach as your body changes. And if you need more support around this topic or other things you may be stuck in, check out my membership. This is a type of coaching that I offer that is outside of my one-on-one private coaching. But this is, it is called the Type 1 and Midlife Circle. We meet on Zoom every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and discuss an area of health. Every month we are focusing on one area, and that supports both blood sugar and hormones in perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. So we have a mix of ladies in our group that are all in different stages, and it's just amazing. Amazing conversation, amazing connection, and I provide all the resources that I share here on the show in more depth, and we talk through it and support one another. And you also get some one-on-one time with me each month as part of your membership. So click the link right here in the show notes. If you have any questions, just send me an email. I'm over at hello@abundanthealthwithmelissa.com. And I hope this has clarified some things, some ways that you can bring in some non-hormonal herbal lifestyle supplements, maybe some other medications, and to help you decide when and if you will jump into the bioidentical hormone therapy arena, like many of us. But in the meantime, there are some things that you can lean on and to see if it works for you. So again, hope you enjoyed this show. Share it with somebody in this stage of life who might need this support and this information. And I will see you back in here next week. Bye for now.